All right, let's dive right into this explainer and decode exactly why the toxic social media hustle culture and those flashy vanity metrics are completely blinding us to what actually builds a successful business. Today, we're unpacking some seriously fascinating insights from India's top business coach, Rajiv Talreja. Listen, if you've been feeling that intense, crushing pressure to build a billion-dollar unicorn, just because your feed is constantly full of 20-something founders popping champagne on yachts, you really need to hear this. We are going to strip away all that noise and look at the actual, grounded fundamentals of business success.
We'll be mapping out this entire paradigm shift using 5 crucial steps. 1. The startup illusion. 2. The 4 business goals. 3. Capability over capital. 4. Beware borrowed aspirations. And 5. From hustle to calm. Let's get right into it.
Okay, section 1, the startup illusion. It is definitely time for a reality check on those flashy headlines we're bombarded with every single day. It really forces us to stop and ask, is business nowadays just about getting rich quick? Somewhere along the line, it feels like society completely bought into this huge misconception that starting a business simply means making money fast. Rajiv shares this wild insight from a marketing head of a luxury car brand. Get this. People are literally buying luxury cars not for the driving experience, not for the amazing engineering, but solely to shoot that dramatic satin cloth unveiling video for Instagram. Seriously, we are totally confusing absolute status with actual real-world success. And that situation perfectly highlights the massive disconnect going on here. The media constantly celebrates the 0.1% outlier unicorns, the massive seed rounds and the glossy magazine covers. But the grim reality for so many folks is far darker. We're talking about stressed out founders who lack basic management skills, playing a completely hollow game of fame. They're out there chasing a high valuation just to prove their worth to a startup ecosystem that doesn't actually care at all about their internal happiness. Fundamentals are entirely ignored just for the sake of optics. Moving on to section 2, the 4 business goals. We need to talk about how to define your own success and relieve that insane pressure to build the next big unicorn. Because the truth is, not everyone starts a business to take over the world. The absolute most crucial point here is that your end goal is deeply personal. Take the identity-driven business owner, for example. The source material shares this beautiful anecdote of a homemaker in a small town who started a franchised salon. She wasn't looking to build some massive empire. She really just wanted to earn maybe 15,000 rupees a month. But here's the kicker. The day she opened, her family looked at her with a completely new level of respect. She gained creative autonomy and an identity outside the home. For her, just having that business running is the ultimate victory. Next up, we have the income-driven business owner. Listen, you do not have to be on a magazine cover if your business achieves its goal of peacefully sustaining your family's lifestyle. If your business pays for your kids' education, runs the household smoothly, and keeps you totally debt-free, you are a hero. Period. You don't need $100 million in venture capital to be considered a highly successful entrepreneur. Then there is the financial freedom-driven owner. In this scenario, the business just acts as a vehicle. The goal isn't only to pay the bills, but to generate a really consistent surplus to invest into other asset classes. Think SIPs or maybe commercial real estate. Eventually, those assets generate enough passive rental or dividend income that you actually reach financial freedom. The business served its ultimate purpose by buying back your time. Finally, we have the legacy-driven business owner. This is all about building an institution that completely outlives you. Now, knowing which of these 4 categories you fall into is absolutely essential. I mean, if you're really an income-driven owner but you don't realize it, you are going to be constantly swayed by the noise of Shark Tank valuations and Forbes lists. You'll feel miserable because you think you're falling behind, when in reality, you've already won your own game. All right, section 3. Capability over capital. Let's look at the actual real-world mechanics of generating wealth. There is this phenomenal quote from the source material that completely destroys the myth that all you need is a massive seed check to succeed. Money doesn't make money. Capability makes money. We are always taught that money makes money, right? And sure, that's true if you're a passive investor. But for a business owner, no way. Capability makes money. If you have terrible systems, awful sales skills, and bad management, and someone hands you 4 crore rupees, well, that money is just going to evaporate even faster. Capability is literally the only foundation that can sustain capital. This brings us to a really fascinating case study.
Imagine a 21-year-old guy who comes up with a brilliant, sustainable idea to sell mineral water in Tetra Paks instead of plastic. His pitch deck is absolutely flawless. He has researched the machinery, the European market, the whole shebang. It's a 10 out of 10 on paper. But he's just sitting there waiting for a magical angel investor to hand him millions of dollars. The problem? He has zero network, zero capital of his own, and literally zero sales capability. He is trapped in this 30,000-foot illusion created by media that only ever celebrates funding rounds. So, how do we actually fix this? Well, instead of drowning in a high-risk delusion, here is the highly practical roadmap they mapped out for him. Step 1, go get a grueling sales job in real estate to learn how to actually sell. Step 2, put your head down and earn a steady 2 lakhs a month to support your family. Step 3, take that income and build true personal financial stability. And finally, step 4, now that you have the capability, the network, and the stability, go build that Tetra Pak brand. You have to earn the right to dream big by building your foundation first.
Let's dive into Section 4, Beware Borrowed Aspirations. We really need to look at the psychology of why so many founders feel absolutely miserable even after raising millions of dollars.
The sad truth is, so many of us are trapped executing what the source perfectly calls borrowed aspirations. We're out there trying to prove our worth to a society that doesn't actually give a second thought about our internal happiness. The explainer highlights this crazy phenomenon. People are literally buying photoshopped images of themselves at music concerts just to post them online and look cool. That is the absolute peak of a borrowed aspiration. You don't even want the experience itself, you just want the external validation of being seen there. And think about the energy behind our actions. Ask yourself right now, is your motivation pure or impure? Raj Shamani shared that his initial drive to make money was simply to stop his family from constantly fighting over finances. That right there is a pure intention driven by love and connection. On the flip side, if your goal is to make a ton of money just to slam it on your relative's table out of spite, or to show off to your high school classmates, that's highly impure. Building a business out of revenge or purely for status will only lead you down an endless, totally hollow chase, no matter how much money you end up accumulating. All right, our final section, Section 5, From Hustle to Calm. Let's see how evolving your mindset is the only surefire way to sustainably scale. There's a really brilliant analogy here using cricket legend MS Dhoni. Early in his career, he was this incredibly aggressive opener, just smashing the ball, pure physical hustle. But as he matured into one of the greatest captains ever, he actually pushed himself down the batting order. Why? So he could sit back, read the game, and apply real strategy. As a business owner, you have to make this exact same transition. What got you here simply won't get you there. You have to transition from flapping your wings in pure hustle mode to that quiet, calm space where deep, strategic thinking actually happens. If you want to grow fast, you have got to stop obsessing over the vanity metrics, the PR articles, and the fancy office spaces. Start obsessing over your fundamental inputs instead. Get your product quality dialed in, build a rock-solid distribution model, optimize your sales process, and build robust operational systems. Money and scale are really simply the output of getting these daily inputs right, because at the end of the day, fundamentals will always, always outlast fame. So before you go write that next pitch deck, before you take on immense amounts of unnecessary stress, or before you compare your journey to some 21-year-old who just got funded on social media, I want you to ask yourself this one provocative question. Who do you actually want to be? What is your real personal metric for happiness? Because when it's all said and done, your true measure of success is yours alone to define. Please, don't let the noise of the world drown out the voice of your own soul. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I hope it gave you some real clarity to go out there and build something authentic.